The legend Sir Charlie Spencer Chaplin was known as the funniest man in the world for his silent comedies and filmmaking. He was born on April 16, 1889 in London, England to Hannah and Charles Chaplin, who were both entertainers in the British music halls. His parents separated when he was 1, and his mother provided for the family, working as a female performer on the variety stage. One of the days while Hannah was performing, she lost her voice and got booed off the stage. Hannah's manager became very desperate and decided to pull then 5-year-old Charlie on stage. This move was no mistake. On the stage, Charlie sang and danced while making the audience laugh with his several imitations. Charlie was showered with money as he continued to sing. That day was his first appearance on the stage and his mother's last day on the stage, as she never regained her voice. Hannah had difficulty in finding employment, which left their family poverty-stricken. His mother became mentally ill, and Charlie took on many jobs to provide for the family while aspiring to ultimately become an actor.
Even though Charlie Chaplin had a rough childhood, he always strived to become better at his skills and talents in entertainment. Charlie Chaplin's career truly started while touring as a comedian with the Fred Karno Repertoire Company. His first tour to America was in 1910, and Chaplin made a big hit with American audiences. Later, in 1912, he returned to the United States for a tour, and was offered a contract with Keystone Studios and to appear on the screen. He made many silent comedies while bringing laughter and joy to many viewers. Charlie Chaplin was very talented, and he became the first successful director, producer, writer, editor, and composer.
In 1919, Charlie Chaplin co-founded the United Artists Corporation with 3 other actors, Douglas Fairbanks, D.W. Griffith, and Mary Pickford. He formed the company because he wanted to have full control and independence over his films. Chaplin made many films that are still famous today, including The Tramp in 1915, The Kid in 1921, and The Circus in 1928. In these particular movies, Chaplin plays the main character known as the Tramp. The Tramp always wore a funny bowler hat, a suit, and baggy pants, but his act was always just as funny as his costume. Although the voice was able to be captured in film starting in 1930, Chaplin insisted on silent films because he believed that the silent films was better suited to capture people's emotion and their thought processes. One of Chaplin's most famous silent films was The Circus because this film brought Chaplin his first Academy Award when it was not yet called an Oscar in 1929. The special award was given to Chaplin for versatility and genius in writing, acting, directing, and producing. Although known as the funniest man in the world, his love for equality and humanity was depicted in the film The Great Dictator. This anti-Nazi comedy, which was his first true sound film, was written by Chaplin in 1940 as an attempt to make fun of Hitler. In the movie, the dictator and a Jewish barber experience a case of mixed identity, and the barber is asked to make a speech as a dictator, and Chaplin himself makes a touching speech that was contradictory to the dictator's ideology. Instead of rallying cry for war, he addresses the despairing humanity during World War II and expresses the importance of human equality and humility. This speech is known as one of the most inspiring speeches in history, and the sentiment of the speech is still very relevant even to this day.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Many admired his stand on humanity, while some people perceived Chaplin as a communist during this anti-communist era because of his progressive and liberal political views. While traveling to London to promote his latest film, Limelight, he was informed by the United States Immigration Services that he will be denied from re-entering the United States. When questioned about his political views, he stated, "I am not a communist. Neither have I ever joined any political party or organization in my life. I am what you call a peacemonger." He also maintained that a democracy is a place where you can express your ideas freely, or it isn't a democracy. After being denied re-entry, Charlie resided in Vevey, Switzerland in 1952 and continued to work on his art of filmmaking, where he died on December 25, 1977.
Despite this setback, he truly took a stand by leading the way for other filmmakers. He showed actors how to incorporate humor and laughter into movies and to attract a lot of attention. Needless to say, his career in the film industry was very successful, and to this day, many of Chaplin's films are still known as the greatest films of all time. After a 20-year exile in Europe, the 82-year-old Charlie Chaplin returned to the U.S. in 1972 to receive an honorary Academy Award. He received a 12-minute-long standing ovation from the audience when honored with the incalculable effect he has had in making motion pictures the art form of this century.
Well, he stood up for his beliefs and the whole un-American activities, right? Whatever that means, that was his stand, right? And he was for the little guy, from City Lights to you guys have seen that amazing dance he does with the two boots. The little person, the person that gets overlooked. That's what he's important for, even though he certainly is one of the 10 greatest filmmakers ever, without a doubt. No question. Charlie, this friend of mine was friends with Charlie Chaplin's son, and they were visiting Chaplin in Switzerland, where he lived. And they wanted to watch a Charlie Chaplin movie, right? He had a movie theater there, and he said, "If you're doing that, I'm not going to watch," right? So they put on City Lights. That's what it's called, right? Mm-hmm. City Lights. And they were going to watch it, on the screen in Charlie Chaplin's house, just because it's so cool. And about halfway through the movie, they realized Charlie Chaplin had come into the theater, right? And he was watching it, and then he sat closer and closer to the screen, and they were looking at him. And as he's watching it, they heard him say to himself, "Brilliant. That's brilliant."